Hey everyone, it's me, Doomlink, and welcome back to not only Doomlink's live hunts, but me recording videos. It's been about a month and a half since I last went live, and you will notice that things do visually look rather different. I wasn't entirely sure if things were going to look the same, or if they were going to, as you can see, look almost entirely different. The reason why things have to look like this is related to where I have to now position my microphone in relation to the room acoustics, which are essentially disadvantageous to good recording. What that means is that I have to have the microphone positioned directly in front of me and rather close to my face so that I can get all of my voice directly into the diaphragm of the microphone so that you can't hear much of the room noise. And what that means is that you can't have the webcam in line with my face because it'll literally be covering my mouth and possibly even my nose. So it has to actually be to my side, or not quite at a profile angle, but somewhere in between a profile angle and directly in front of me. Now, what that means is that I've essentially returned to what it used to be. When I first started doing recordings live, the reason why I say doing recordings live is because I never actually had myself visually on camera until I was recording live streams, so those two changes in style of recording are one and the same. I actually had my webcam to the side. It felt like the best thing for me to do with my setup at that time. It wasn't even necessarily the style that I... It wasn't necessarily the style that I wanted in particular. It just seemed like that was the most natural place to put my webcam with my setup then. But as I was updating my setup in that space, I started to move the webcam more and more in line with me, and I came to realize that that's probably what looked best. Unfortunately, with this style of recording, where I have my microphone much closer to me to avoid picking up room noise, I don't have that luxury anymore. I essentially have to have it positioned like this. Now, rest assured, things will change over time, and they will change for the better. This is the first recording that I'm doing in this new space, and things will undoubtedly improve. But this is how things are going to have to be for now. I'm being raided by a party of one by Tron, which is lovely, and I thank you for that. Now, one thing that you might have heard, that there was a lot more room noise to hear when I turned my mouth away from the microphone. My table needs to be to the left of me, because I'm lifting this glass up, and when I drink from it, the microphone is basically entirely covering that. Now, it's not about showing you me drinking necessarily, but when you're drinking or doing anything and it's being covered, it's just dumb. Like, you're physically doing something that can't properly be seen. It's like you're hiding. It's just odd. So I do definitely need to have my beverage to my left side. Now, whether or not that correctly corresponds to what appears to be the left and right on your screen, I'm not in a position to try and work that out, because basically I do flip my display depending on whether I'm on the left or right side of the screen. I don't really want to get into the technicalities of the recording process, because it can at times be a little complicated, and possibly a snooze to listen to. So I'm going to try and not get into it. Doom Drink. Hello, Tech. It's good to see you guys. It's been a long time. It really has. But yeah, let's get into some hunting. I don't want to create a hub at this stage. I want to get straight into a room that has already been organised. Just making minor adjustments. Alrighty. Although, I know it should be fine like this. I don't want... the entire reason, I mean, I've already explained this, but it is very important to me that my microphone is not covering any of my face at the angle my webcam is filming me. So I can't suddenly stick my face in my microphone to the extent where I had previously, I've said where twice, where I had previously set up the webcam. Now my face is being covered by this windscreen. By the way, the windscreen that I have here on this microphone, the microphone is the same, but I've added a windscreen here. It's necessary because I will be, using the letter P. I can say penis, pickles, and it's not a problem. because I do indeed have this shield between me and the diaphragm. It's not actually going to affect any tonal qualities of my voice, but it will provide that physical protection from my plosives, as they're called. So there you go. Yes, it is very important that I am able to say penis without assaulting your ears with the sound of a puff of air entering the diaphragm. I think we would all be in agreement with that fact. Yeah, pretty much. Alright. Now let's move on. About Ferris. I read this as fetus, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know what it is about fetus that would be in any way funny or offensive, but I feel like I've seen it a number of times before. How about Hunter the cat? It's rather ironic that he's named his cat Hunter. I'm sure that was entirely intentional, but I wouldn't go so far as to say that it's entirely funny or clever. That would be a separate matter, and I don't think I want to adjudicate upon that now. Queen possibly named himself after the band, or indeed thinks that he or she is a queen. And that could be in the positive or negative regard. And again, I'm not going to bestir myself on that point right now. I'm just going to ignore it, and maybe join the room and do some hunting instead of commenting on people's names as if it actually matters. You would have named your cat Monster. That would have been appropriate. Possibly a little funnier as well. Possibly. Now, I'm not suggesting that every person's name that they conceptualize needs to be some sort of comedic stroke of genius, but you know. What can I say? Now, I do hope that the speakers are not going to be too loud. This is kind of the standard, you know. I'm always somewhat unsure as to whether or not the speakers are going to be at the appropriate volume once I'm in a hunt, because indeed the game is a whole lot louder when you're hunting. Well, Queen has decided that getting as many as 2 additional hunters in his room just wasn't quite good enough, you know, oh, fuck all of you. That's alright, it's good to know that in my absence things have remained the same in this community. I mean, they're allowed to change their minds about whether or not they want to hunt, but it does waste my time a great deal. Master York, Chloe, Kara, or Kara. Come to think of it, I do need to pop out my chat on my laptop. So certain things have stayed the same. I'm using the same webcam, same tripod, same microphone, same boom stand, same laptop. But basically everything is the same. The only thing that has changed is the physical space that I'm in, and the position of the microphone in relation to my mouth, the addition of this windscreen, and indeed the position of the webcam and tripod. And that's what's happening. Because I didn't have my chat properly expanded, I didn't actually get to read everything of what you guys were saying, rather. If I can't talk properly, it's because I haven't done it for a month and a half, so do give me a break. I'm gonna need a little bit of patience from you. Oh yes. Look, Tron, I will absolutely, during the week, be streaming at this time, usually. The only times that I'm going to be streaming at a time that would not suit you, Tron, is on weekends. The only reason why this happens to be a weekend day, and I'm also streaming at a time that suits you, is because I had to spend my entire morning getting this thing. Getting this thing was a whole lot more arduous than you might imagine. It didn't just appear one day, I had to go and get the fucking thing. I had 2 choices. Either I waited for another week or 2 to have it in my hands by purchasing it from China and then waiting for it to arrive by air, or I could just go out and get the damn thing. I chose to go out and get the damn thing, and it was a long way away. It was some music shop, like, you know, an hour away from where I am now. It would have been about an hour and a half to an hour and 45 minutes away from where I used to live, but, you know, it's nice that I've moved, I suppose. But, you know, the main reason why I chose to do that was so that I could get this sooner. and this was the prerequisite to the resumption of my recordings. That's just the reality. Like, I wasn't going to position my microphone in this way without this windscreen. It just wasn't going to happen. Stupid idea. So yeah. As far as the armor that I'm wearing, it is a... Yes, it is a Devil Joe armor set. The reason why it looks this way is because this is Savage Devil Joe. It is the Devil Joe subspecies. I did not intend to disconnect to the extent that I was going to have to sit through a load screen. What is happening? Oh, I see. I had actually joined the room. I intended to exit out of the selection of rooms. The reason why I made that mistake was because I'm used to X being select instead of circle, but here I am in Generations Ultimate. P1, yes, thank you for making that very clear. The clearer you make that, the faster turns rooms are gonna go. Because sometimes people don't get the obvious, it must be said. Well, thank you, Tack. One or more other consoles are not responding. Well, I would suggest one console is not responding because there's one guy in that room. And that's fine. God, they were quite a wing! Okay. Wing has a space for me. Just for me. So we're gonna go in there and say hello. What happened to Wing? I don't know what it is, like having whatever it was, 3 or 4 G's, just, it encourages me to pronounce it in a rather guttural fashion, like Wing. Okay, maybe that one wasn't quite as good as my other attempts, but the point is, and in fact the more I do that, the worse it's going to leave my voice. But, yeah. Don't know why you need so many G's. Don't do this. See, I'm pressing all sorts of weird buttons now. Do forgive me. Oh yeah, that's right, I'm supposed to go and put a shock trap in here. If I seem a little bit all over the place, it's because I am. I haven't done a recording in ages, and this is the first time I'm actually recording in this space. My microphone is sort of... It's not actually blocking my field of vision at all, it's just I'm not used to having this much in front of me. Like directly in front of me. It's usually off to the periphery, but now it's like directly... Again, it's not actually blocking my view of the television, it's below that. I'm just not used to having stuff directly below that. It is something to get used to, and it's putting me off a little bit at the moment because this is the first time I'm having to do this. People who, for example, use condenser microphones will normally have this scenario because they have side address microphones. I have an end address microphone, but unfortunately I still have to use it in this way because the only other option is to pick up room noise, and I can't really do that. I was hoping to be able to address the echo in my space, but I can't. Like, it's unfortunately too large a space for me to fill it with stuff that's actually going to address that acoustic issue. Unless I actually get in there with some serious acoustic treatment, which is not really well. You people can't help yourselves, can you? For the benefit of anyone who didn't see, it was a high rank quest, and I really don't want to deal with that. EX help, well, I happen to not be in the mood for that either. Deranged Desert Devil Joe, I'm quite content to do that. Quite content to do that. Am I? No, I'm not too much in the corner. I mean, I'd like to be a little less in the corner, admittedly. What's this guy doing? The host hopefully is rotating something like his food. Hopefully he hasn't actually departed on a quest. The reason why I'm not sure about that is because I have actually had that happen where a guy will depart on the quest and then 3 people will join the room. You know, he might have departed solo because he didn't want to wait, and then 3 people will join, and he doesn't return. I've actually been in that situation in this game with this community. Again, it entirely contradicts common sense. Look, you just left. I'm telling you, you think something couldn't possibly be the case, and then it happens and you're like, well, I have to learn from this. this community is a little different. It's not quite logical. I'm happy to do Mizutsune. What even is the target, or rather objective of this room? It is a turns room. Well, that's fine. I'm happy to do that. Let's do longsword. I'm in a bit of a longsword mood. I will bring a thunder longsword. I do not have a blunt thunder option because, as I recall, there aren't many blunt thunder options in this game. So I will just go for standard element, which will be Oppressor's Law. This is the appropriate armor set for this, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Okay. Just making sure. I'm very much out of sorts today, if you can forgive me. Was there anything that I wanted to discuss that I have yet to touch on? Not really. I've said most of what I wanted to say. I guess I'll expand upon what I said before about when I'm recording during the day. It works better for me to actually record in the evenings now, and I'm able to do that because my lighting setup is better in this space. The lighting conditions you're seeing right now will be the same whether I'm recording at 8 in the morning, midday, 6 in the morning. The point is, it will always remain the same, and I probably didn't need to make it so damn obvious by explaining it in that way, but yeah, it will always remain like this. So, what that means is I can pretty much record whenever the fuck it suits me, because I used to be rather dependent on natural light. That's the point, that's why I say that. I'm not reliant on that anymore. So, I can quite comfortably record in the evenings, and that does work better for me. So, what that means is people who are living in Europe, or indeed people who have really crazy time zones and are living in the US, well, excuse me, have really crazy sleep schedules and live in some US time zone or something similar to it, will indeed be finding themselves tuning in at a time that suits them, and I will indeed be streaming at a time that suits me. So there you go. Also, one thing to mention is that my Nintendo Switch is actually in the same place as my Wi-Fi modem now in this particular place that I'm living in, so my connectivity to the game will be far superior to what it has been in the past. Now, of course, you do still have to deal with geographical distance. If I'm playing with people from Europe, there is no doubt in my mind that my connectivity to them is still gonna suck, but at least I don't have to worry about the possibility that there's poor signal from my Switch to my Wi-Fi modem. There is no need to be afraid of that anymore. Why is my phone vibrating? Could you cease? I'm trying to play the game. Oh, my phone's vibrating for reasons that do not relate to important communications. It instead vibrated either for something entirely unimportant, or because I got a message on Discord or something like that. Don't know. Don't know. There's no promise that I'm going to play very well, by the way. I have not played 4th gen in a while. Not since I last recorded it, whenever that was. Also, I've been playing a lot of Elden Ring, for anyone who's unaware of that fact. It seems that the volume of the game is fine. It's not really spilling into my microphone at all, so I'm happy with that. There is a reason why, but I don't want to get into it because it would be a fairly boring discussion to get on. It relates to the... well, no, I'm not even going to get into it. But I can say that it relates to the change in my microphone setup and positioning, okay? I'll tell you that much. That's not going to put you to sleep. Now let's promptly move on. I am indeed aiming for the front claws because that is the elemental weak point. This is an elementally robust choice that I have made right here, as far as weapons are concerned. And I am attacking the elemental weak point for that reason. Game volume should be fine. That shouldn't have changed or anything. Oh yeah, there's another thing that I need to talk about. I didn't actually mention this either in my update video or in any video relating to any future new setup when moving. I have now moved and I have now organized my setup, and I can say very comfortably that I'm now able to record retro consoles again. I don't know when I'm going to do it next, but I'll probably do it pretty soon, maybe even tomorrow, we'll just have to see. As far as what game I record, it could be Twilight Princess, it could be A Link to the Past, it could be The Minish Cap, it could be Castlevania Lament of Innocence. There are a lot of games that I'm playing right now that are on consoles that I indeed send to my other television display that I had to actually abstain from recording for a period of time because it wasn't practical for me to set up my second display or my older display in my old setup, because, you know, I'd actually bought a new display that I could use to send my PC image to, and that was intended to replace my old display, but it turned out that that new display actually could not accept resolutions below 720p, which, needless to say, for retro console gaming is just not... that's not only completely non-viable, it's... yeah, there's no way around it almost. But yes, you will find that my voice is a little more all-encompassing. What you are hearing is indeed only my voice. The room noise is, hopefully, not colouring the sound of it at all. That used to be the case. The room sound in my old place was fine. But, yeah, this is pretty much just my voice now. There will be a very tiny, almost infinitesimally small room noise sound present in what you're hearing right now. But you'd have to really be looking for it. So, don't look for it and you'll enjoy yourself listening to me, probably. Whether or not you'll enjoy it, I can't say, but it won't be... it won't sound like that update video that I did before. Not the last one, but the one before it, where I'm actually on camera. Because that sounded like real dog dick. And it sounded like dog dick because I was actually recording it in the same way that I would record a regular video in my old space. So that gives you an idea of just how necessary it is to change my recording technique. Now, I don't think I've been playing especially well, but I will say that usually when I'm really not playing well with a longsword, I'm sitting at around white or no charge in the spirit gauge at all. So, I mean, I could be doing worse, that is the point. That YYDS guy's taking a little while to get back, but maybe the passage of time is flowing awkwardly in my mind's eye. Fuck off. At least you didn't prevent my sharpen. It is somewhat refreshing to fight a hyper monster again. It's not like I missed them when I play the other games, but it has been a while, and it's nice to be so punished if I'm allowed, or rather if I allow the monster to hit me. It's good. Keeps you on your toes. You actually play better when there is such a risk involved with getting hit. Now, some people are a little more strict with how they play. They will ensure that they take as little damage as possible, and that will be their main objective. Taking as little hits as possible really is something that's important to them. What's important to me is that I don't die. So, sometimes those two things do align, as far as the strategy goes, you know. Not wanting to die and also taking as few hits as possible, but other times it doesn't quite align in that way, particularly when the monster's not very strong. And this monster happens to be pretty strong, so that would be an example of where those two objectives in battle align quite closely. Fuck off. Well, I would really have to blame myself there, I guess. See, I'm letting him do his thing. Okay, he's not actually going to continue into a combo, he's just going to roar. Whoa. It's easy to get caught in that. I don't know what the... Oh, I see. By the looks of it, Feng Hong actually did critical juncture, but I'm not entirely sure that it procced. It looked like it didn't. It actually looked like he was stuck in one place, unable to get it off, and I don't know how that would be possible because he was right in the middle of that attack. Thank you for your input, Yells, seriously. It's very much appreciated. I'm not going to go in there because I don't want to end up in the other area again. I'm rather subconsciously using Longsword as I would in Freedom Unite. I don't know why, but I hadn't really heard the panting sound of Mizutsune while limping until just now. I hadn't heard it. It was really weird. It sounded like he was just going... I'm sure it sounds a little different to that, but as far as what was just being broadcast to me through the speakers connected to my display, that's what I was hearing. And it sounded weird. It's like this panting. And I stress that I haven't heard it before. So it's a bit weird. Alright. That's that. Oh. That was one thing that I entirely forgot to do. And none of you pulled me up on it, but that's fine. I forgot to edit the information in my live stream, and I'm going to edit that right now. Now, it may very well be the case that it won't update for you unless you refresh the stream. And I will have to input it again when the VOD publishes. But I don't really want people tuning into this expecting 3 Ultimate and it's actually Generations Ultimate. That would be a little bit of a nasty surprise. I wouldn't be happy about it. I'm sure there are plenty of people who watch and play 3 Ultimate that would not be quite so enthused about Generations Ultimate and about playing it. I don't necessarily blame those people. Also, thank you for the follow, LP Gaming Legend. I don't know if LP stands for Let's Play, but if it does, then good on you. Let's Plays may very well be a thing of the past, in many respects, but they still deserve appreciation in my opinion. It's where it all started. I'm sure certain people still consider themselves Let's Players. I mean, I still do them. I guess I'm just not much of an accomplished Let's Player because I don't have much of an audience. But that's life, isn't it? Isn't it? I was just suddenly overcome with the need to hydrate myself. If you can forgive me. I feel so out of sorts. This recording setup is just so foreign to me. No. I suppose it doesn't say G turns. Whenever I make a turns room, I specifically outline that it needs to be G rank by saying G turns, or by writing G turns. This is why. You will get people posting high rank deviant quests. It's ridiculous. Like I apparently don't even meet the requirements to join the quest. It's on-site items only, on top of the fact that it's high rank. I sincerely hope that you kill the room by posting what you just posted. Make a goddamn Hellblade Deviant room. There must be plenty of people who want to do that. Now, whether or not they want to do your quest probably doesn't matter. What they would probably be willing to do is take turns doing your Hellblade and then their Hellblade, etc. Clean mission. What is clean mission? Are we on some sort of environmental mission to clean up the rivers of the Misty Peaks? I mean, what's going on? Clean mission. As far as I'm aware, there is no real issue of littering that exists in this world. As far as I'm aware, Wyverians do dispose of their rubbish thoughtfully. They might not. Maybe this is going to be a new idea that Capcom will take up in future games. 6th generation Monster Hunter. There's a new category of quests. Clean up quests. Get out there with your little tongs, you know. Your little claw. You know those claws that they use? Yeah. This guy is communicating to me in Chinese. I say Chinese because it's a generic term that can refer to any language spoken in China, okay? Take it easy. Some guy's gonna be like, it's Mandarin Doomlink. Well, I don't know that. Could be something else. There's a few types as I understand it. I'm not especially learned in that regard, but I believe I'm correct in saying that there are at least 2 or 3. So, I don't want to make assumptions, I'll just say Chinese, thank you. And if that somehow confuses anyone, then I would be sorry, but I'm not. Zenoga. Let's do it. I'm content with that. I'm content with that. Shift you slightly. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. One thing also that you won't have to deal with is when I'm breathing, exhaling through my nose or whatever, the sound of wind pressing against the diaphragm will not be audible. So that's pretty good, I would say. Well, if we're going to do Hyper Zenoga, I do want at least 3 people. I'm not really in the business of 2-manning a Hyper Monster unless the other person's really, really tight. Why don't I just form a fist and then do that while saying the word tight? I don't know, maybe there's some sort of subconscious message, or rather a message that I was trying to convey to you subconsciously. I can assure you it was not my intention of making a sexual reference, but anyway. What would be fun to use? I guess Gunlance. Is Gunlance always fun to use? No, not at all. It's not even close to being always fun to use. But on occasion, particularly when it hasn't been used recently by the hunter in question, it can be fun to use. And that describes the current situation that I happen to find myself in. I haven't used Gunlance for about a month and a half. That's how long it's been. I haven't used it recently in Portable Third or any other game that I've played in my own time. And indeed, I haven't used it on camera at least since I was last recording, so that was a month and a half ago, so there you go. Let's say go a few more times. It seems that Tome MK, he's not just suggesting that he wants to depart immediately by standing at the departure gate. He's actually telling me in the chat, let's do this. The reality is that I might be hunting 999, but I'm not at all interested in taking the time to hunt 2-man with you. If it were a regular monster, I would do it without a second thought. You wouldn't need to convince me. But if it's a hyper monster, no. I'm sure this guy has every confidence that I'm going to somehow carry us to victory in less than 10 minutes with my Hunt Rank 999 prowess and experience. The reality is that that is not true. That's not to say that I'm not amazing at the game. I mean, I'm not amazing either, but I know what I'm doing, and I play reasonably well, but I'm not employing what can be described a meta strategy. So I'm thirsty again. How about that? By the way, the webcam is a little higher than it used to be. And it's also pointing down just a little bit. So that, if the perspective at all looks strange to you, that would be the reason why. It's a little different to what it used to be. Also, it will be interesting to know how audible that car going past was. Because again, I don't know how well background noise is being rejected at the moment. I'm sure that was fairly audible. That was like at least half as audible as my voice. It still might have been fairly distant sounding. I don't know. I can always hope. Hello. How goes it? You are a reasonably sized Zenoga. I shouldn't have done that. It fortunately didn't result in any sort of repercussion. In other words, shooting in that moment and being stuck in one place, unable to avoid the attack that was obviously imminent. I'm not going over there, I'm going to end up in the other area. But yeah, it worked out in my favour because he didn't have much range to that attack after all. At least not as much as I was anticipating. Couldn't quite time that right. See, every time he does that attack I do have the expectation that he's going to finish with a big outward thunder attack, but he didn't do it this time, and what that would suggest to me is that he needs to be enraged in order to do that. In other words, at a level 3 charge. I'm doing this, I'm going all in, yeah, I managed to do it. I'm sorry, Tomei, I had absolutely no desire to do what the fuck, okay. That was a bit of a delayed mount, but at least I got it off. Essentially, Blast Dash does have a mounting capability, but you do have to be within a certain distance of the monster to successfully mount them. And I succeeded in closing the distance sufficiently. Just before my opportunity was gone. But what I was trying to say before I was interrupted by that surprising turn of events was that I did not intend to send Tomei flying. It gives me no pleasure to have done such a thing. Oh, fuck off. Really, really. That does not please me. Well, for a second I thought that was a maneuver that was pointed at me and would have some sort of, you know, onset of a physically pursuant Zenoga. But it did not. That was him flinching. Could have gone for the Blast Dash again. Oh yeah, that's what I was actually meaning to say. I was meaning to say that I was going in for the Blast Dash. I was going all in, you know. I was putting myself in harm's way in the hope that I'd be able to flinch Zenoga out of his charge. And that did end up happening at that time. I really should get out of the habit of addressing things so long after they've taken place. But, you know, I felt like I needed to put that on the record, I guess. DSQ is dead. Think I need a bigger weapon? What is that, toothpick? Well, I'm sure there are bigger gun lancers out there, but the size of this one will suffice for now. But I presume that you mean that sarcastically and that it is a rather large weapon already. But I don't know, I would say that as far as gun lancers go, it's a fairly average-sized gun lance. In other words, the true thrust of your humour is lost on me. It's good to see you, Paul. Hope you're doing well. Actually, you're not as familiar with Monster Hunter, so I guess it does look pretty oversized to you. It's an example of Japanese games being a bit over the top, you know. Not super well, getting over COVID. Sorry to hear that. A lot of people have been in that situation. You know, we just get through it as we do any terrible flu. I've had some really fucking bad flus. In fact, I have reason to suspect that I did at one time get COVID, but it still wasn't as bad as the flu that I got about 3 years ago. I was bedridden for days, and not just bedridden, I feel like I couldn't exist. It was just the worst fucking thing. It was this terrible flu, I mean, I couldn't move. My body was so physically weak, and I just felt fucking awful. And I gave it to my father, actually. And of course, he's considerably older than me, but yeah, he was like, wow, I don't think I've ever been that sick in my life, is what he said. And, no, that was 3 years ago now. That was in... I do actually forget how long it... Hold on. No way. Well, it was technically 3 years ago, but more like 3.5. This was in 2018, I believe. Yeah, it was in 2018. Wow. Time flies. The last 2 years for me have gone by really quickly. Really quickly. I do lose track. But yeah, the flu can beat the shit out of you. Absolutely beat the shit out of you. People die from the flu, like, that's normal. It's very normal. It's just people weren't deeply obsessed with the statistics of it like they are with COVID. But yeah, I mean, COVID ain't got nothing on me, because I got the worst flu in the world like 3 years ago, and it fucking destroyed me. It only lasted about 3 days. It was just as well, because I was actually going to Tasmania, like, within 3 days of getting it, and I was really worried that I wasn't going to be able to go, because I can't get on a plane and go on holidays when I literally can't get out of bed. It doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. But, you know, by the time I was ready to get on a plane and go, I was feeling better by that day, and yeah, I mean, I wasn't feeling 100% in the morning, but by the evening I was good to go, and I enjoyed my holiday all the same. So that was great. Hello, Jovism, good to see you. I don't even know how I've been playing, by the way. I've been playing entirely subconsciously for the last 3 minutes or so. Hopefully I've been playing at least reasonably well, and not being a burden to the team. I think now is as good a time as any to discuss Elden Ring, because Paul is here. I'm going to start the conversation by asking, the hub is always open, Jovism. It's just a question as to whether or not there is space. I don't think anyone has joined during this hunt, so you are welcome to join. The room information, if I can access it, no, I can't quite access it. My advice to you would be to check all rooms that are currently on a quest, if you can filter it in that way. What I know you can do is turn off the filter that blacklists halls that do not have blacklist rooms that are in progress with their quest. I don't know why I was having a mental blank there. Anyway, just couldn't figure out how to explain that. Anyway, let's talk about Elden Ring. Paul, how do you feel about Elden Ring? Is it something that interests you? Have you tried it? And if you have tried it, what are your opinions on it? I will say that I personally have played it. I've played a decent amount of it, but I haven't finished it yet. And I'm not entirely sure if I'm yet willing to weigh in on it, because I feel like I would need to at least finish it. I would like to finish a whole playthrough before I really piece everything together and make an evaluation of the full picture. Because I can tell you there are positives and there are negatives, and I do hasten to add that it has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that the PC is poorly optimized. I don't actually add that at all into my complaints. So that's one thing I can say. But for the most part, I'm personally pretty happy with it. I'm not impressed. I wouldn't say that I played the game and found myself impressed, and the reason why is because my expectations, much like many other people's expectations, were actually pretty fucking high. My expectations for the quality of the game were pretty high, but my expectations for it being a good Souls sequel, as people were hinting that it would be, were pretty low, because I did not trust the opinions of those who said that it was basically a sequel to Dark Souls 3, in many respects. I just thought, well, that's bullshit. Last time I took the advice of you people, you were going on about how Bloodborne was basically a Souls game, which it basically, and not only basically, but entirely was not. In every respect, it was not a Souls game at all. But anyway. You consider Elden Ring in the same way that you would consider Breath of the Wild in the context of Zelda. Well, I suppose it's not entirely unfair. I think that's probably right. It would make sense to do that. I mean, really, Breath of the Wild is taking a formula that did exist and then bring it into an open world context. And that's basically what Elden Ring did for the Souls series, so it would make sense to liken Elden Ring to Souls in the same way that you would Breath of the Wild to Zelda, so... I guess the difference is that Elden Ring doesn't say that it's a Souls game anywhere. So... I mean, everyone understands that it practically is one, but... yeah. What I didn't like about Breath of the Wild was that they were calling it Zelda. Didn't feel like it to me. That was my problem. Anyway. Well, it looks like you found it. You found the hub. Indeed, because we are playing Generations Ultimate, there's not much risk of people joining. Well, it's not always a risk, but in this case it's a risk of people joining while the quest is in progress, because people just filter that out automatically. In this case it's helpful, in most cases it's dumb and entirely unhelpful. But whatever. I feel like this quest has gone on for too long. I think it's time for this to reach its conclusion. I've had my fun. You know, I can only hunt Zenogre for so long before it starts to get a bit asinine. Oh, I see. Your concern is that Elden Ring is not new enough. Some enemies have the exact same moveset. What I will say is that Elden Ring is very surprisingly built upon Dark Souls 3. Like, they didn't take Dark Souls 3 as a point of influence and then build a whole new game around it. They literally took the skeleton of Dark Souls 3 and made a different game with it. Like, as soon as you launch it, you can see that. It's the same shit. Whereas Demon Souls, Dark Souls, and Dark Souls 2 were built from the ground up as their own games, Elden Ring was built on Dark Souls 3. And it's blindingly obvious. I wouldn't necessarily say it's a bad thing automatically. I don't mark that against the game, but it is something to take note of. I mean, they've never done that before. Maybe they were too daunted by their ambition and they decided to take a shortcut and just build it on Dark Souls 3. As a result, in my opinion, there's no marginal increase in visual quality between Dark Souls 3 and Elden Ring. It probably is there. I'm sure Elden Ring looks slightly better, but not in my opinion. It looks about the same. And that's fine. As I said before Elden Ring came out, the graphics are so unimportant compared to how the game feels to play. The game needs to be built fundamentally well. If it could look better technically on a graphical level, well, that's not as important. There are priorities when it comes to game design, and graphics are not one of them. But you can't just ignore graphics entirely. There is a point where it does get a bit ridiculous. Like if the game looks like absolute dog shit, yeah, it's not going to be fun. But Elden Ring looks like a game that came out a year or two ago, maybe 3 years ago, 4 years ago even. Ocean pyroxene. I swear to God they designed that to spook people, you know? They think that they're getting the Zenoga Sky Emerald, but they're not. It's kind of rude. It's just the sort of thing that Capcom would do, but I don't think that that's just a coincidence. They could have chosen a different icon, but they didn't. They chose the exact same icon and they decided that the color of the item would be just a few shades different to the emerald, well, I guess more like turquoise color that the Sky Emerald is. Apparently Tomei is a Generations, excuse me, he is a Rise player. He's talking about playing this every day until Sunbreak comes out. It's not really a point of conversation that I would care to expand upon myself, but yeah. Yeah, there are obvious balancing problems in Elden Ring. Blindingly obvious balancing problems. Stealth is not well designed at all. It's very, very basic, and I haven't really made use of it all that much, and quite frankly I don't think a lot of people make use of it at all. I mean, there are a lot of ways to make the game easier for yourself outside of stealth, and I think there are so many options that are more accessible to making, or for making the game easier, that I don't think stealth is used quite that much. Maybe it is, I don't know. Maybe it's just for me personally that it doesn't immediately come to mind as an option in combat. I don't look at situations and go, oh, I'm gonna use stealth in this situation because that'll make it easier. That doesn't come to mind. Maybe it does for some people, but not for me. I would imagine that other people would just be using broken magic builds, bleed builds, all of the stuff that's really, really strong, whilst simultaneously using Ashes of War. That's what I would imagine. As far as PvP, oh, you think Sekiro was better? Well, I have no experience whatsoever with Sekiro. I don't even know a little bit about that game. I know precisely nothing about it, but if you think Sekiro was better, well, what I don't really want to deal with when it comes to Sekiro is the fact that it's not Souls. Elden Ring is a Souls game. For all intents and purposes. The only thing that's not Souls about it is the story. Everything else really does just feel like a streamlined Souls game. It feels like Dark Souls 4. That's what it is. It seems we're in the unenviable position of players 2 and 4, and I'm included in that listing, not wanting to post a quest. Now this guy with the face for a name is probably not going to take it upon himself to post. And quite frankly, I don't want to tell him to post because this DSQ guy, who still needs to return from his quest, would probably be better to post before the guy with the scrunched up face. So, yeah, we're at risk of losing scrunched up face guy. I mean, look, if scrunched up face wants to fucking post, then fine. That's fine. I can live with that. All good. Thank you for taking the time to type when you are feeling unwell. It is appreciated. Yeah, this new setup that I've got going here is going to take some getting used to. But I can say that even when I first got this microphone about 4 years ago, I found it to be so much bigger than any microphone I had used prior to that point that it was a distraction. To have that in my peripheral vision was a distraction, and then I got used to it. In fact, the first time I used a microphone, instead of a headset mic, like a standalone microphone, was when I bought a Behringer C1U. I think that was in 2014. Prior to that point, I had only ever used headset mics. No, that was in 2015, sorry. Early 2015. Well, DSQ has left. Alright, scrunched up face. P1 post. Or is Jovi gonna post? Scrunched up face, don't you dare leave. That's gonna piss me right off if you do that. Ah. Jovi has the same idea. He just told scrunched up face to go and post a quest. As you were fortunately able to see, because I actually had the chat positioned above my keyboard, and therefore above my head. Hello, the Digi Artist too. I vaguely remember you, and I welcome you back. Apparently Scrunched Up Face does not know the meaning of Player 1. Which is a bad start. I wish he would just go for it, you know. Like, he's only Hunter rank 81, we've made it pretty clear that we don't want to post, and I'd like to think it's fairly obvious why we don't want to post. All you have to do is take one look at our Hunter ranks and realise that we probably don't have all that much to do. Maybe one way in which we could signal our desire for him to post the quest would be by standing here. We really should have done that sooner. Another face? What's going on? I can't refer to these people. I mean, I can refer to Scrunched Up Face because he's got a scrunched up face, but what about this one? Angry Guy? I'll call him Angry Guy. I don't know. Now, those could be eyebrows, or they could be eyelashes, or some other weird thing. I'm going to assume that they're eyebrows. They're just very short for eyebrows. They don't really function in such a way as to appear as if the guy's angry, but I imagined that that was the intention, so I'm referring to him as Angry Guy, or Angry Person. But, yeah. Oh, the room is called Zenoga? Shit, I forgot about that. Huh. Oh, and yes, you are Jovi. I forgot about that. I've forgotten a few things. I didn't know what room I had joined. You have to realize that before I got into this room, I had to cycle through so many rooms that I just... Whoops. I apparently just changed the hub settings to exactly what they were before, thank you. Alright, so we'll do this quest. I mean, this is a G rank quest. I will change the information to say G rank, which tends to be interpreted as a, you know, turns room anyway, because, you know, who the hell would have a G rank room where no specific monster is being hunted yet? It's not a turns room. I mean, it's no such thing. What a ludicrous proposition. What a ridiculous notion. But, yeah. Moving on, I don't remember what I was saying before, but it was at least somewhat important. As I recall, this particular quest is pretty easy because we can use the fence switch. In games prior to this one, you would have to be pretty reliant on smoke bombs. But here, it's built into the arena. You can separate the monsters pretty effectively. So we will do that. As far as what hunting horn I'd like to use, I rather stupidly do not have a status hunting horn in this game. You'd think I would have made one, but I don't have one, and I'm gonna have to live with that. What would be appropriate? Maybe dragon? Is Rajang weak to dragon at all? I don't know. My hair looks great today. Well, thank you. I don't really know how it looks because I can't keep track of it, and I can tell you it's a lot harder when the camera is coming at me from the side for it to look good, but I'll trust you on that. Lord, you play? Yeah, man. I'm a-comin'. I am very much here. Again, there are certain things that you can do to work out if a person is actually playing. And one is to see if their weapon type has changed while they're not here. What that means is that they're actually actively doing something to prepare for the hunt. Now, he might not have taken note of what weapon I had equipped before, but whatever. If my phone vibrates one more fucking time, I'm throwing it out the... Oh, Okay. Well, that's alright. That was actually a somewhat reasonable message for me to receive. It was both informative and important. It wasn't just a total waste of my time. Alrighty. Now, may as well enter from this side. Oh, that's a good way to get things started. How are we positioning ourselves? This is not ideal. See, I can't use it now. Fucking hell, what a joke. Now that might be okay. I'm okay with that. What I'm not especially okay with, you know what, fuck it, I'm not soloing Rajang, that's ridiculous. Are there any Farcasters available in the box now? If there aren't, then I'm not going to be too happy with it. Well, fuck me, right? Don't actually. Try to restrain yourself if you can. But I will go and play the music. Not this music. This isn't of very much... Well, it doesn't take precedence over boosting the damage of the team while we're here beating on this monster outside of Rajang's sphere of aggressive influence. Alright. I've got speed up, I don't think I... Well, thank you for that. Well, that's a fucking cool way to mount a monster. Upswing into aerial fucking KO smash plus successful mount. I'll take that. I'll definitely take that. Bit hard to consistently hit that head, isn't it? When he's thrashing around like that. I think our fence is about to go down, and indeed, whoever's on the smoke bombs has also worked that out. This gives us an opportunity to hopefully get the fence switch charged again. I'll try to get in position to... Who the oh, it must have been the gunner. The gunner must have set off Rajang. As you can see, we now have to contend with thunder lasers coming after us while we're trying... Well... Looks like Angry Face was the one who, quite frankly, ruined everything. He can send extended ellipses in the chat as much as he fucking wants, but that was his choice to use the fence switch at a time that was, quite frankly, terribly risky. You need to be entirely assured of the fact that Rajang is staying where he is, or, you know, whoever you want to stay in place is staying where they are. You know, both of them were running around, so I don't know what more I can say than that. I probably need to play the attack song again, so I'll do that. I haven't really been keeping track. Everyone is under the effect of an attack up, but it might not be my attack up, that's the point. And it seems like it wasn't, but it is now in effect. Fortunately, because we do have a Pierce Gunner, I am fairly confident in the fact that this monster is not too far from being dead. There is a temptation to place a trap, but I don't want to place one and then have... Oh, well, that's very good. Paralysis meat is certainly welcome at this point. But yeah, I don't want to place a trap and then invite the risk of Rajang being stuck in the trap, because that would only encourage us to then attack the Rajang, which is going to cause the fight with Devil Joe to drag on for even longer. I don't particularly want to deal with that. Of course, it does have to be understood that they do have reduced health, so it shouldn't be too bad. Alright, I'll get in position for this fence switch, we'll see how things go. Oh, that hit Rajang square in his whatever that is. See, I don't really want to be on this side, I want to be on the other side. I want to be with Devil Joe. See, when I'm standing over here like this, I feel like I'm not contributing at all. What I'm really trying to do is make use of the fucking fence switch, but I can't. Now, Angry Face has a lot to answer for. I can't really speak for Jovi, but as for why he felt that it's appropriate to be attacking the Rajang while Deviljho's on the ground, and while barely any damage has been dealt to Rajang, but a whole lot of damage is being dealt to Deviljho, I don't know, but, you know, Jovi has an excuse. He couldn't close the distance between himself and Deviljho immediately in that moment, but Angry Face is a gunner and doesn't have the disadvantage of being unable to hit the monster from a distance. He's a gunner, if you know what I mean. Get the fuck out of my way. Yeah, I'm happy to do the fence switch business, it's just I do want to be contributing, and I was not contributing when I was last attempting to hit the fence switch. I will play my song, and then I'll get back to the fence switch. And Deviljho's dead, which means the fence switch is no longer necessary. Rolled a bit too late though. Look at me trying to roll through Tremor. Very funny. Well, he jumped back into a shock trap, which worked rather nicely. I can't complain about that. That was poor positioning on my part, but I was not punished for it. I'll just do the fucking Sonic Smash. I pressed the buttons to do the Sonic Smash, and I was quite surprised to see that the hunter made no attempt to perform said Sonic Smash. It just goes to show how long it's been since I was regularly playing this game, because that used to be fairly normal. Pressing the button combination to perform a hunter art and not actually having the hunter art take place. I now find that as an annoying thing. I find it to be annoying. It used to just be ho-hum, part of everyday life. Sounds like a fucking elephant. Why I'm observing that so many years after having first fought a Rajang, I don't know. But this Angry Face guy is a liability and needs to be removed from the room. Quick like. Yeah. I'll tell you who failed this quest. In fact, I don't need to tell you. It's quite obvious. Angry Face has no fucking excuse. He's using light bowgun with Adept. Okay. Adept. This guy's got the equivalent of evasion +4 and light bowgun. I mean, only so much of an allowance can be made for poor play. Really. You know, this guy's practically whipped out his Game Genie and is still failing, so what can I say? He has expressed something in one of the Chinese languages. I would not begin to assume what he has said, but unless it translates to sorry, it's not of interest to me. I'm not actually going to remove him from the room. I said that I would, but I'm not that nasty. Some guy's going to be like, what do you mean, Doomlink? You're such an asshole. Listen to what you just said to the guy. Well, okay. If that means I'm an asshole, then fine, I'll take that. But I'm not so much of an asshole that I'm going to remove him. How about that? Now, we're doing a different quest. Jovi, if you could furnish us with a follow-up quest that would be a little bit more enjoyable, that would be great. I'd like to leave it to you. If you don't have any ideas, then that's okay, but anything other than the old razzle-dazzle would be an improvement. Except for Atalkar, that would probably not be an improvement. But anything else would be, okay. What the hell am I using? It is a hunting horn forged from a Valstrax. Yeah, all of the Valstrax weapons look pretty good. I'm very happy with the designs that they had for those. This is a fairly fun quest. Jungle Funk. I'm gonna let my friend know. I mean, I'm supposed to be watching anime with my friend, as I usually do, but I'm gonna let him know that I'm going to be another hour. As for this quest, I'm going to bring status, sword, and shield. Unless anyone else is going status, which I don't think is the case. Nope. Paralysis is what I meant to say. Paralysis, sword, and shield. And I meant to say, hopefully no one else is going paralysis. I realized because I saw that this guy was using a status weapon, and I was going to comment on the fact that he's using blast, and then I realized that I had actually said status, which is obviously a non-specific term. Anyway, what I meant to say was paralysis. That is what I'm doing. I'll be back in just a moment. I'm going to get some more water for purposes of hydration. I'm back. I haven't actually had anything to drink yet, but I'm about... Did I eat? If I did eat, it was done so manifestly, subconsciously, that words fail to really do it justice. I did not eat. Oops. Oh well. Life goes on, doesn't it? It sure does. Hello, Congalala. Haven't fought you in a little while. You know, it feels that way anyway. You're very small. In fact, I'm gonna send a message saying this one is small, because it is fucking small. I need to take care not to attack him too much. I want more people to be here to take advantage of the paralysis. The reality is that you do get diminishing returns on paralysis, as you do with basically anything in a Monster Hunter game post 2nd gen. So it would be rather stupid to only have like 1 or 2 hunters to take advantage of the first and easiest to get off paralysis that I have access to. What is with the poison? Jeez, I forgot that you had that. Alright, I can now quite comfortably go for the attack. The paralysis is not too far away. Just sometimes it's really, really easy to get off. Not this time it seems, but again, not too far away. This is indeed subject to individual monster resistances, but... Oh, sorry. It was rather poor timing, wasn't it? If you didn't see, a scrunched up face was about to get a mount off, but my paralysis came through instead. That's regrettable. Better to be safe than sorry. I didn't want to end up getting off a paralysis with no hunters to take advantage of it, but... you know. If I'd taken a bit more of a chance, I would have gotten the paralysis off faster, and then we would have also been able to get the mount off. So my first paralysis, unfortunately, did not quite so comfortably coincide with the first mount of scrunched up face. Needless to say, I do not find myself carrying deodorants all that often. I'm sure some people deliberately bring them for Kongalala. I never do. I never do. I'm too lazy for that shit. Who do you think I am? Some kind of professional Monster Hunter player? Honestly. Fortunately, the Kongalala will not last for too much longer. Well, keep away from you. Oh yeah, sword dance. This is my opportunity to do it. Hopefully I'll be able to heal soon. Oh well, just as I said that, I was granted the effects of a life powder courtesy of Jovi. Alrighty, may as well carve, huh? Why not? Beastly Fang. Quite frankly, I think any Fang would be attached to something that could be quite comfortably called a beast. So, possibly a rather redundant description. Quite honestly, this Conga is about the same size as the Kongalala we just fought, so that must have been a gold crown small. Now there is case in point for my very high level of paralysis. That is sitting at 39, which, needless to say, in conjunction with 315 raw damage, is pretty good. Pretty good. It was entirely unnecessary for me to repeat that. It's an expression of my discomfort with the current recording scenario. How you would correlate that with my recording scenario? Well, if you're not inside my head, maybe you wouldn't get it. Jovi impresses upon us with great force that death was entirely his fault. And I'm glad. I feel both reassured and quite fulsomely apprised of the reality of the circumstances, such that I have no need to be left wondering. Wrong shout-outs, okay. It has to be said that my speakers that I'm using right now from my whatever you call it, monitor, I guess we'll say. I can call it a television, but it's not. It's a monitor that I'm actually connecting my Switch to. The speakers that I have attached to it are so fucking bad. It's shocking. I actually cannot believe how bad they are. They're Logitech speakers. They cost, I think, $40, maybe $50. I don't know. But they're so fucking bad. I mean, I was not expecting them to be good, but I was expecting them to be about as good as the speakers that were built into my old flat screen television that was manufactured, I think, around 2008. These speakers are worse than the ones in the back of that old television, so... What the fuck? Like, literally, certain frequencies sound like a dull object being struck against a pot. It's like boom, boom, boom. Like there is nothing in the music that plays here that sounds like someone getting a wooden spoon and knocking the bottom of a pot. Okay? I'm quite intimately familiar with this music. There's none of that in here. And I've heard it a few times now. I mean, the speakers are just shit. absolutely terrible. I specifically didn't want anything good, because I just want to be able to hear the game. I don't want to hear it in high fidelity, or even at high amplitude. I just want to hear it, at least enough to know what's going on. And I can assure you that the speakers on my old television are pretty bad. But, you know, it was good enough, and I just wanted that for my monitor. The monitor does not have built-in speakers, so I needed to get external ones, and let me tell you, these Logitech ones, holy jumping fucking shitballs. They're so embarrassingly shit that I can't believe that speakers can be that bad at such a price point. I mean, obviously they're not good at that price point, but I don't want to hear the ones that are cheaper. I really don't want to hear them. Maybe Scrunched Up Face and Angry Face are friends. I mean, it would make sense. I did for a moment, and actually for quite a while, entertain the possibility that they just randomly connected together. But no. They're probably friends. That would make sense. What's the next one? It's Mizutsune, isn't it? Yeah. With rather reduced health. So it shouldn't be especially difficult. Have we had a death? We've had one death, haven't we? From... 2! Fuck. I take no pleasure in saying this, but failure is looking pretty likely. Not because of Jovi or myself, but because Scrunched Up Face and Angry Face might have a problem with this monster. There's no guarantee, but I'm here with paralysis and I still don't think we'll succeed. We might succeed. I think there's about... let's give it a 60-40 in favor of Mizutsune killing us. Anyway. I'm going to play extra carefully, okay? It's important that I do that. I don't have raw resistance, do I? I certainly do not, so I did the right thing by shielding. And I have been shielding in this hunt up until this point. I out of habit aim for the... what the fuck is going on? I'm being flinched, I believe, not just by the Hermitor, but by Scrunched Up Face. Which is not really helping to achieve anything. This is pissing... my phone is fucking vibrating. My phone has never vibrated this much in a 1 hour period of time in the entire time that I've been living at this property, but as soon as I go live, like, my phone vibrates over and over and over again. It's just fucking ridiculous. Is that my first paralysis? This may very well be my first paralysis. Anyway. Whether it is or not, we're doing reasonably. As long as we survive, we'll be okay. Just in case. Do I have life powders? I do. I will have them on hand in case they are required. I have hitherto taken very little time to play support. Not just in this hunt, but in almost any other hunt. But I don't want to fail this quest. That would be really annoying. You know, failing a triple monster quest on the third monster is one of the more annoying things that you can experience in Monster Hunter. It's not a good thing at all. It's a very sad state of affairs that I would not wish upon anyone. Well, I would wish upon. I would actually enjoy seeing some people suffer in that way, but no person in my current life experience immediately springs to mind. But I'm sure in the past I have dealt with people like that. I was just meaning to express the fact that it would be exceptionally annoying. Please just die. You require so many hits to die. I've got a monster that is lying on the ground in a vulnerable position. And I'm attacking a Hermitor. I've got like no stamina because I'm an idiot and didn't eat. Fucking hell, this guy needs help. He seems to be actually incapable of sheathing his weapon, rather. If I were him, I'd be fully healing. I really would be fully healing. I wouldn't take any chances. The more health he's got to work with after being hit once, the more likely it's going to be that he survives. But he doesn't seem to be familiar with that fact. And you know, if he did die, he wouldn't learn from that. He wouldn't learn from it. He'd learn a different sort of lesson. He'd learn that he could have done better, but he wouldn't actually know how he could have done better. I mean, he'd think he'd know. Anyway, let's move on. Let's move on from that subject. We're about to succeed, okay? There's no need to be so negative. Well, let's just get it done. Get it done. Very good. Nicely done, guys. Against all the odds, we succeeded. Hooray. Alright, that's no problem. Thanks for joining, Jovism. Seems like he was very short on time. It was good of him to stay until the end. I like how I hydrate myself on the one hand, and then on the other I immediately proceed to further dehydrate myself. Oh, white wine. I just witnessed one of those hunters kicking Mizutsune in the car. That's a rather discourteous display of rudeness? I don't know. I got a Mizutsune. Pallium, that is my 10th, excuse me, that is my 11th. I currently have 10. Which makes that my 11th. Thank you, Doomlink. Stamina drain plus 9, fencing plus 3. Not too bad, but I'm not going to get any use out of that, and furthermore, by the standards of... that was indeed a Gold Crown Small Congalala, but not my only one. By the standards of the talismans that I've picked up from farming Brachydios in that event quest, that wasn't a particularly good talisman, so no matter what, I wasn't going to take it. Again, according to my speakers, somewhere in this music, there is the sound of someone hitting the bottom of a pot with a wooden spoon. Now, I never heard this sound until I used these speakers, so maybe it means that these speakers have such great depth to the frequency spectrum that they broadcast to my eagerly awaiting ears that I'm hearing this music in a new way. Or they just fucking suck. Need a fourth player? Not at this stage, but I don't know if I'm going to stick around with these guys, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to move on to another room. I don't dislike them, I'm really happy nut, that's a very nice name. For now I'm going to look for a different room, and I'll encourage you to join if it looks like a good room. This person has named their cat 12345, which is a deeply inspired name. Probably something that is the result of much consideration and Probably extensive lucubration, but yeah, no. It's a terrible name. Well, if the data could transmit a little faster, I wouldn't be sitting here expecting a failed connection, which I think is what we're going to get. I don't think there's much chance of a successful connection at this stage. Yeah, no. No way. If it did succeed, I'd leave anyway because this is bad. Yes, I realised that I couldn't connect to the other console, thank you. Have they disconnected now? No. Apparently someone else succeeded in joining it. Or not. Anyway, I suppose we could try NMJT. Probably means something in some Chinese language. I don't know if they have acronyms there, they probably do, why wouldn't they? I'm sure they're still reasonably westernized enough to have that. But anyway. Because you couldn't have an acronym in a Chinese language in their written form, because that doesn't make sense. They're a character-based language. All the meaning is in a single character. You're not going to chop the character in half and like have this collage of, you know, half characters and quarter characters. It's ridiculous. Anyway. I mean, yes, every character is made up of several strokes that can... Anyway, it doesn't matter. Let's not get into that. This is a ridiculous point of conversation. There is a temptation for me to make a room, but I don't want to do that if I don't have to. This guy is doing Yang Ruga. Terry Uwu. This is a wild Uwu user. I have to say Uwu because I can't describe that in any other way. It is once again a face, so I really just have to say Uwu. So, yeah. Can I just say that at no point when I associated with people who would possibly have the propensity to use that face, did people use that face? I narrowly avoided that generation, and I'm very glad. Red Helm G5. Go choke on a cucumber. Not doing it. Red Helm G5 requires a certain degree of commitment. I don't have any degree of commitment right now. I'm willing to... Okay, I do have a degree of commitment. Let's say that I have at least some modicum of commitment. Something of a tincture of commitment. And that is in the form of a quest that seems reasonable and that I can join with people. But if it's something like Red Helm G5, no. Let's give this room a try. The Digi Artist. It might be a good room, it might not be, but let's give it a try. The sooner you join, the sooner we don't have to deal with the eventuality of you not having space to join, and you missing out. You've already been quite patient, so I would like it if you could successfully get into this room. As far as how to find it, I look for the room with the Chinese name, I guess. Oh wait, that does not really narrow your options. What was posted again? Was it Cyanatol? I think it was Cyanatol. I believe it was. I will use dual blades. You joined the room for Adulkar? Yeah, sorry. That was a little while ago, and I'm not doing Adulkar. If you can, try to get into my room. It's being hosted by... that. So, again, probably narrows it down exponentially. Wow. I mean, you can see that. Oh no, this is the one that's not on camera. The one that's on camera, this is the arm of my chair that you can see. The one that you can't see really needs to be retightened, and I'm going to do that now. It can be done quite comfortably from my sedentary position. There we go. That's much better. Is this you? Oh yeah, I remember seeing you in the room that I was in before. I briefly checked your set, and I decided to leave the room. Not because I saw you or your set, but because I didn't like the quest that was on the board, and I would not be so presumptuous as to tell the person who has made a room and has posted a quest on the board to go and change the quest that they're doing for my benefit. And that would be rather self-absorbed. I don't really care what I eat as long as I'm eating. Now that does not extend into real life. I'm quite picky. I'm not like a picky eater, but you know, I don't just eat anything. I don't eat any old thing. But I refer to the quest where I did forget to eat, and I ended up having to work with very little stamina by the end. That's the problem. Like, I don't bring stamina recovery items. Sorry if I'm doing weird things with my hair. Hopefully that hasn't made my hair look weird. Anyway, yeah, the reason why I don't bring stamina recovery items is precisely because the 150 stamina that I get from eating is perfectly fine, and if I die at some point in the hunt, the 100 stamina that I get will carry me through to the end without fail. I very, very rarely need stamina recovery items. The only scenario where I need stamina recovery items is when I haven't eaten and I don't die at any point during the quest. That really is the only scenario in which that's needed. And that's a very specific scenario that requires two things to happen in the same quest. Me not eating and me not dying. So, yeah. Technically, dying is more common than me not eating. Both are fairly rare, but it must be said that I do die more frequently than the other thing. What the hell are we doing? That's right. I remembered. Because I do not have the memory of a goldfish. And apparently that's something of a myth, or at the very least an embellishment. I don't think goldfish have that bad of a memory, but yeah, that's the saying. He's got the memory of a goldfish, you know, blind as a bat, etc., etc. Oh, what? And none of you... Oh, okay. You have discovered him. You have come across him. Alright. What's terrible about this monster is that he deals way too much damage and he can hit you way too easily. I'm not a fan. And I probably would have been better off going ranged, quite frankly. I'm not one to enjoy going melee against this monster in hyper form. I guess I didn't really internalize the fact that the monster is in hyper form. I just saw a Cyanator and didn't think much of it. No. Fuck off. I mean, seriously, do you see the range of this shit? I mean, it's not just that particular attack that's the problem. It's the attacks where, you know, he just randomly swings at you. I mean, if it's that particular attack, he telegraphs that very clearly. But very sudden swings of his claws that hit you from a great distance, when he's dealing that much damage, that's problematic. That's exceptionally problematic. I still only have Bloodwind 2, oh my god. Do I really not have Bloodwind 3 yet? The time must come very soon. In short order. Fuck off! In short order. For me to actually deliberately complete whatever quest is required to unlock Bloodwind 3. Because it's starting to get ridiculous. It's probably a villager request. It's probably one of the very few villager requests that I've yet to do. Or it's one of the advanced quests in HR 8 that I've yet to do. It's one of the two. I'm almost assured of that fact. Yeah, stop urinating aggressively on Yexjalfan. Yexjalfan. I don't know how to pronounce that. I always read it as like... I read X as almost a j sound, but it's not pronounced in that way. Someone's going to hear my pronunciation of that name and go, oh, he's so culturally insensitive. Well, no, actually, I just, you know, looked at it and thought I'd give it a try, and then realised that it was probably profoundly incorrect. I wasn't attempting to be offensive, although it may offend. My hope is that it entertains rather than offends. And I am indeed referring to those who speak the language. I'd say it's fairly entertaining to hear me butcher a language if the person in question speaks it. I know that one of my viewers who watched me play, whatever it's called, Pokemon Snap in German, found it quite risible that I was making an attempt, a really pathetic attempt, to whatever I'm saying, speak German. I wasn't actually speaking it, I was reading it. I should make that very clear. He thought it was pretty funny. I said to him, please don't watch it. It's very embarrassing to have an actual German speaker watch me butcher the German language. But he watched it and he said, what he actually said, if I recall, I think he communicated this to me back in 2020 when I was doing my Majora's Mask Let's Play. I seem to recall that I was in the Stone Tower Temple at the time when we had this conversation via the Twitch chat. I had explained to him that I didn't want him to watch it. He said that he did watch it, and I, you know, expressed my embarrassment. And he said, oh, don't worry, I know of people in Germany who pronounce German worse than you do. And you know what, that's a worry. But to be completely honest, not entirely surprising. Now, can I register my deep discontent with how long that attack lasts for? The monster is fucking stationary. There is no physical motion. So how could I possibly be taking damage? I mean, is it magical? So I'm not being hit by an actual claw. It has some sort of magical characteristic. Some sort of magical function that causes it to retain its physical momentum despite being stationary. What the fuck? Not impressed. Not impressed at all. No. You stay the hell away from me. That's his most damaging attack, and it would probably be capable of one-shotting me at this health level. It's almost full health, but honestly, you'd be at risk of dying even with full health, to be completely honest. It does depend on your defense, but it fucking hurts. And the reason why, and it really does make sense that this is why, it is because it is his most telegraphed attack. Any attack that has a huge lead-up will punish you terribly for being unable to evade it in time. And it makes sense that that's how it works. And the reverse is also true. If it is an attack that comes through really, really quickly with minimal warning, it should, assuming balancing has been properly implemented, deal the least amount of damage, or a very low amount of damage. Oh, goodness me. How many more hunts? I'll do one more. And that will conclude my recording. I do have anime to watch. What am I watching at the moment? I'm watching Slow Loop. It's a lovely... I mean, I'm watching a lot of airing shows. The anime that I watch with my friend is airing stuff. I didn't watch airing stuff, at least not for a long time, until I started watching anime with that friend of mine. And, yeah, at the moment we're watching Slow Loop. It's a really nice slice of life show. I'm really enjoying it. I love slice of life. Especially cute ones like that. As well as that, we are watching Readeiru something or other. Keep forgetting the name of it. It's an isekai anime. Fairly boring as a concept at this point, but I do enjoy certain crystallizations of that concept. That would be an example of a reasonable one. It's not amazing, it's not breathtaking, it's just, you know, entertaining. Of course, watching Akebi-chan. I'm really enjoying Akebi-chan, to be honest. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it. That show... You know, it was very, eccentric, honestly. I wasn't too sure if it was the sort of slice of life that I enjoy, but I'm really enjoying it. I really like that all of the characters are being introduced. And I wouldn't enjoy it so much if they weren't likable, but I find all the characters to be quite likable. I've really taken a liking to the art style. At first I was quite bothered by it. It seemed to be a little bit too heavily influenced by the art style of Magi, the Kingdom of Magic, and the Labyrinth of Magic and all of that. But no, this one now sort of feels rather distinct from it, and yeah, I enjoy it. It's really nice. As well as that, what else? There's a few things. I'm apparently watching Q, C-U-E, exclamation mark. I don't really like that. You know, it's not on the level of something like Shirobako, for example, you know. Not entirely comparable to Shirobako, because this is entirely focused on voice actors and idols, whereas Shirobako did have one character that was pursuing a voice acting career, but the way in which I compare them is by saying, well, it gives you an opportunity to see what it's like to produce an anime. And yeah, if we were to compare the two of them, Q doesn't even begin to lick the boots of Shirobako, I'm sorry to say. But I don't think it's truly without inspiration. I think if the game really just had no inspiration behind it at all, I would come down hard on it. But look, it's alright. It's not especially bad, and it's not so average that I find it insulting. You know, there are some shows that are just so terribly average and really have no inspiration behind their conceptualization that it's insulting that someone thought that it was worth animating it and releasing it. I mean, you've literally got the manga to go on. If the manga is already average, don't fucking animate it. There needs to be a vetting process that takes place. You have to look at it and go, well, is this worth putting extra effort in? Like, does this thing need more time put into it by way of animating it and making it into an actual animated television series? If the answer is, oh, well, you know, it's kind of average, well, don't do it. Just don't bother. But of course, that does not exist in reality. There is absolutely no world where that... There's no time in history, and probably there never will be a time in history. There never will be a time in the future, rather, where only shows that are worth animating will be animated. That's kind of a sad reality. Okay, what am I doing? I am equipping a bowgun. Let's do Thunderlight Bowgun. I'm not really that eager to do the same quest twice, but I don't have the energy to refuse to join this one, and quite frankly, this guy's hosting the room, so I can't really say much in opposition to the fact that this has been posted. Alright, that's fine. Sadly, I can't make use of resentment sensibly, so I won't be getting maximum damage out of this particular hunt. You know, bringing toadstools and poisoning yourself intentionally to get red health is just not worth it. It really isn't. It might sound like it's worthwhile, but... I mean, maybe there are efficient ways to do it, but I haven't personally come across it. I guess I haven't put enough time into it. But really, it's not that enjoyable to do it that way. The best way to make use of resentment is to use it in a hot location. Just don't drink a cool drink and you will constantly be in red health. Constantly. So, it works really, really well in conjunction with a location like that. Now, why this person, this blue player, whose name I will not attempt to pronounce again, in the interest of avoiding offending people? Why is this person pinging when the monster has started in the same location as the one that we fought just before? I'm too cynical to think that he's trying to be helpful. I think he just wants to feel like he's coordinating the hunt. I'm sorry. It's that cynical point of view that leads me to generally decry the use of signals in Monster Hunter multiplayer. Now, in certain situations you can tell that that's not true. But in many situations, that's how I construe it. I just feel like they want to be... yeah, coordinating the hunt. Like, hey guys, come over here, the monster's here. Like, we all know it's there. There's no confusion on that point. But again, there are lots of different people in this world. A lot of people wouldn't give a shit about that, but I somehow managed to be bothered by it, so I don't know. I'm not in the business of excusing my preferences or points of view, but I don't mind explaining them to you. That is perfectly reasonable. I did not make an attempt to jump out of the way there because I did not believe for even a moment that that was going to get close to hitting me, but it very nearly did. It was a hair's breadth away from hitting me, and I'm very glad that it didn't, because I would have literally just stood there and taken it, and it might have one-shot me. I'm currently a gunner. It is perfectly conceivable that I would have been one-shot by that attack. I will go for a mounting attack, and I will fail that mounting attack. Not just fail achieving a mount, but fail dealing mounting damage, which is a complete failure in every way. Go away. I know that I am your target and I don't like it. I also know when you stop targeting me, because I've fought you a lot. And I'm quite frankly sick of fighting you. Again, Shogun Senator is in the list of monsters that I find myself fighting basically every time I'm playing this game. The monsters that I include in that list are usually Savage Devil Joe, Shogun Senator, and a Cantor. I might have to amend that list because I haven't really fought a Cantor as frequently these days. But, yeah. I still think it's pretty frequent. I would like to make use of Bullet Geyser, and I think I'm going to do it now. No, he was not targeting me, so that was really pointless. I'm glad it didn't mess anyone up at least, that wouldn't be fun. I wouldn't be too happy about that. Of course, I didn't bring any thunder shots, you probably noticed that. That was actually intentional. Because, well, the thing is, I did think that I had more internal ammo than this with this bowgun, I will say. It was a misjudgment, but I think I'll still get through this. It should be okay. I don't know what this guy wants. Does he want claws? He's fucking... Oh, I thought he was mining for a second during the hunt. I was going to start impugning his character. I was going to say, well, he's here for our help and he's just fucking mining in the middle of the hunt. Well, no, I think he was actually healing. Come on. Yes. No. I thought it was going to be a limp. It is Most assuredly not a limp. And the reason why I'm not happy about it is A, I'm sick of fighting Shogun Seattle, and B, I don't have all that much in the way of thunder ammunition left. Fuck off. There we go. I definitely need to aim for the head as consistently as I can with this Thunder level 2. Indeed, this is much in the style of normal shots, in that it is focused damage. Oh, fuck off with your range. I don't make an attempt to avoid it because I just believe in my heart of hearts that you would not have such unfair range that it would hit me, but no, you do have entirely unfair range. And I have to do better. Let's get going. Let's pursue the beast and slay it as quickly as possible. Oh god. It's really off-putting to see that monster move so quickly. He's moving as fast as a regular Shogun would if a regular Seanator would, if that regular Seanator was the size of this Shogun Senator. It's gross. He's gonna dig. He's gonna dig. I'd love to hit that little thing on his spine. Well, that's fine. Anyway. Doesn't matter, I don't need to hit his weak point. If he's already dead, then that means that I don't need to hit his weak point because he's dead. That's how that works. It's not especially profound, but it is true. Anyway, first recording since returning. Hello. I hope you all enjoyed. Oh, goodness me. I hope my recording setup is agreeable to you. I hope you don't mind it too much. I know it's a bit weird to have my microphone positioned in this way. It might be improved in the future. I don't know how it would be. I would like for less of this to be in shot. There might be a way around that, I don't know. I'd say there would be. There are probably ways for me to have less of that in shot, I don't know. But there have been times in the past when I have had more of the boom stand in shot than this, so... yeah, I mean, I managed to avoid it back then, but... the only solution really is to have it so fucking high that it doesn't pick it up, but I think, no, I don't think that's a sensible solution at all. I think that's ridiculous. Anyway, I do thank you all for watching. It feels good to be recording again. I feel like I'm somewhat back in my groove. I started off feeling a bit, I haven't done this in a while, this doesn't feel comfortable. Well, I'm feeling a little better now. And I think by the next recording that I do, which will be tomorrow, hopefully, I'll be in good stead to entertain you further. I thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time I'm live in Monster Hunter or whatever else I happen to be recording next that you would like to see. Bye bye for now.